The greatest teacher is doing. Kevin Kelly, my friends, doing each and every day, 10 to 15 minutes. That is all we ask. Patreon members, I recorded yesterday after the show, your charting cryptos, commodities, and currencies. I've already saved it. I've already uploaded it, but I haven't attached it to the Patreon page. I will do that as soon as we finish today's show. Also, three-wave trades. Number of great three-wave trades there. Remember, if you're just a regular person listening to the show, not a Patreon member, we do release on Fridays charting cryptos, commodities, and currencies. And again, one of the favorite things I do, looking at real stuff across the world, whether it's cryptocurrencies, we chart Bitcoin on the 24-hour-a-day chart. Also, we chart Ethereum on the 24-hour-a-day chart. We then also follow the Bitwise top 10 cryptocurrency chart, and that is an ETF, so it's not charted 24/7. It's just market hours. But again, very interesting to follow. Plus, we bring up for you, a half dozen to a dozen commodities and the top currencies across the world. Always we cover the euros, always in there. Most of the time, the yen, the Canadian dollar, the British pound, Swiss franc, all sorts of fun stuff for you. So let's jump into the charts today. And again, appreciate all of you when you reach out to us, bragging on what you're learning here. And of course, everything is reverting to the mean. Everything, and again, I love this quote, the trend is your friend until the end. And as we love to say, always follow your biggest chart because that's typically what the market is doing. And on our weekly chart, we again seeing it moving down strongly today. S&P 500 moving down hard, 1.42%. We see the NASDAQ 100 down the most for the day. It's actually moving down, hammering down 2.46%. But let's just jump in first. We will see that, we had the move down. We captured 1.83%. Market then ticked up. That's when we cashed out our first half. Remember, we open a trade. We always cash out the first half. Once we hit the profit band, which is using the ATR on the 2-day chart. So one ATR in the right direction, and this would be a down trade. Of course, what would we be trading? Well, we practice trade SH, which is the inverse fund for the S&P. It's one of the many inverse funds. We like this one. It is ProShares. Now, you need to practice trade this stuff so you get used to how it really works. The fees are higher. Again, it is pegged to move at the same percentage that the S&P moves in the inverse. So if the S&P's up, if it's down 1.42% as it was today, you will see it moving up 1.42%. So again, you need to practice trade this stuff if you're going to, at some point in time, trade it for real. And again, you start off paper trading, then we recommend you you follow up that as you get good. To keep yourself honest, you do some fractional trading. That's a small dollar amount, such as $100, so you can keep a good percentage of knowing exactly what it is you're doing right and wrong. So what do we see going on here? And I just give you the caveat, we're not a stock calling service, not a Bitcoin, gold, bond calling service. We're an education firm. We want you to practice with us. We're not giving you market advice. We want you to learn. What do we see happening? Of course, we've got a nice strong down. We're only 3 days in, and we're quickly approaching. You see this black line here. It is the average in volume. We were above it last week, right on it the week before. And again, you see things moving nicely in this direction. We see 3 down candles. It's the first day of the latest 2-day candle. So that's 5 days of nice down movement. We saw where the half-day chart went down, slid sideways for a day and a half, and then dropped over in the morning. Look at that volume, hitting that average volume mark. So again, things moving in the right direction. The Qs, like I said at the beginning of the show, down even more. Now, the Qs didn't treat us so well on this last move where we hoped to capture 2.54%, moved around on us, knocked us out, but now things moving back in the right direction, spinning down over the course of this last week, down 2.46%. Quite beautiful. Just like the S&P 500, we had a day and a half of things ticking sideways and up on that half-day chart, but we see the 2-day chart where it pushed above the weekly trend line and then rotated back down through it. Things going in the right direction. Look at 20-year bonds. You know, we captured 2.45% early on in a very short time of trading here. Then things slid sideways. Then they started up again. We had another jumping in point of 1.92%. And of course, we let the rest half of that ride. And it has been a beautiful ride so far. Down again, 2.23%. Things moving well. Price below on the half day and the 2-day below that weekly trend line. And check out the volume. We're already just 3 days in, and we are at average volume. Last week spiked. In fact, the last many weeks spiking volume as bonds have been going down. Remember the inverse fund we're in right now for our practice trade. Tango, Bravo, Foxtrot, TBF, the Pro Shares short. And of course, it is the inverse of TLT. Now let's move on to gold. Look at gold. Again, it had popped up there on Friday morning and then started losing some of its energy, and we've seen this week, but in the morning, lots of indecision with high volume, and then staying up in the afternoon, 0.42%. Hopefully gold will continue to move up. We're still looking good on the half day and the 2-day above that weekly trend line, and that weekly chart pushing up. We haven't hit the high of last week yet. Hopefully we're going to be doing that, seeing that candle and the wick continue to grow. Lastly, we'll look at Bitcoin. Up again, friends. We saw it again stuttering up on this, again, ETF as opposed to the 24-hour a day Bitcoin chart. That is what we cover in charting cryptos, commodities, and currencies. But we see it up and then stuttering up and then stuttering up. And then this week, bounding up. You can see we're smashing up on that 2-day chart. Of course, we had that really high pop in the morning on Tuesday, and then just continuing to push up. So Bitcoin looking good. We blew through that prior high in here, and we'll see just how high Bitcoin goes. There we are, folks. Thanks so much for being with us. Always love to hear from you. If you're a Patreon supporter, we do appreciate you supporting us. If you're not, what are you waiting for? You get all sorts of great stuff. You get our 20 weekly vertical crossovers from the S&P 500 every week. We look for 20 good ones. What are they? They're candles that are going from red to green or green to red on the weekly chart. All things being equal, the market tends to move in the direction of the largest chart we use, which is the weekly. That's what we trade off of. To learn what we do, it helps to have lots of candidates to practice trades. You get that with the weekly vertical crossovers. Of course, the minute you sign up, what do you get? You get our Options Made Simple, the Charting Wealth Way. You want to really magnify your practice gains, of course. How do you do that? Well, you check out options. You learn to trade those. Get comfortable practice trading them. 3-part series. First thing you get the minute you sign up. So consider being a Patreon supporter. Remember, the things you support tend to stay around. We appreciate the underwriting that our Patreon members do here for our channel. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.